Hello everyone, it's me back again with another Dancing with the Stars recap. Kind of forgot what video I was doing, but I don't know why, because I really don't do other videos during the Dancing with the Stars season. But anyway, yeah, it's week 4, most memorable year. Um, I actually thought this was a really good night of competition. I think um, most of the celebs, I'm going to say, most of the celebs brought their A game in some form or another, and others were kind of like right there. But I thought a lot of the stories, well, 3 in particular, were very heart wrenching. Um, and then I thought a couple, well, okay, 3 I'm going to say 4 stories were heart wrenching. 2 dances were just amazing. Um, then there was some really really good dances, and then there were some dances that really didn't make sense with the story, and then there were some stories that I was just like, I don't know what the story actually was, but I'll get into that as we go. So up first we had Normani and Val opening up the show with a rumba, and her year was 2012, the year she went on X Factor, and the other 4 girls of Fifth Harmony went on X Factor, and they all auditioned individually, and then they're like, no, we don't want you individually, but we want to put you together in a group. Um, so the formation of Fifth Harmony. And she danced to the song that they sang. I think it was the first song they sang, Impossible by Chantel, back when they were like trying to figure out their name. They were like Lilas and that other thing, I think like 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. They were going through a lot of names and they were all silly. But yeah, they got a 32. Bruno was extremely kind with the 9 that he threw out to her, because while it was a good dance, and I'm just going to say this now, I don't think Normani is capable of producing a bad dance. And I can say that about a few dancers this season. However, I'm not sure how well she would have done if she had been given a real proper rumba with a lot of content, because this didn't have that much content in it. There's like a couple like rumba moves in there that I could recognize and see, but it was more like flashy and stuff. A major lift in the middle, and most times I don't care about lifts, especially if they're assists. But that was a major lift in the middle, and if they're accidental, but that was a major lift in the middle. So I was glad that Carrie Ann took a point off for that, even though we could have done without the definition of a lift and all that stuff, because she just seems extremely insecure about people calling her out for it, like we do every single season. Every single season, it feels like she gets insecure about it, and it's like, just stop calling them out, or be consistent with it, or only call out lifts that were like the one that Normani did, because that was a blatant lift that is like, okay, take a point off for that. Not the other stuff that is just like, your foot kind of came up because you accidentally couldn't keep your foot on the ground on a move that was very hard, but you tried and it was on the ground most of it. Okay. But anyway, yeah, they got a 32. Probably should have gotten a 31. If anything, I don't think it should have gotten any higher than an 8. Carrie Ann thinking it was any higher than an 8 was, without the lift, is weird, but whatever. But they did sound good, so Up next was Nick and Peta. They had a rumba as well, and they got a 30. Yeah, they got a 30, and his year was last year when he did, well, when he started The Bachelor, because his season just ended. No, because The Bachelor isn't filmed live. Yeah, they film it a few months in advance. So yeah, it was last year, I guess, when he found his fiance. Is her name Vanessa or whatever? I don't know. I thought the dance was his best dance yet. But I thought the concept, even though it made sense and it was smart for Peter to do it, I personally thought it was corny and tacky. that's just me, but it did make sense, and I do give Peter props for doing that and making him dance with other women, and he actually did a great job of keeping himself from losing control and kind of from sinking into fading into the woodwork like he could have so easily done. But yeah, I think it was all right. It was his best dance. He still has some technique problems and fluidity issues, um, but I thought it was good. Um, he does need to be worried about elimination next week. I do think he could potentially be going home. If not next week, then I'm for sure he's going home the week afterward. Um, but yeah, that's it. Up next is Nancy and Artem, and they had a foxtrot. Her year was 1995. They got a 33. Um, and her year was 1995, the year that she became a mother and she got married and all that stuff, which was great because I was really wondering if she was going to go for that or if she was going to go for like the whole Tanya Harding knee incident thing where her husband, Tanya's husband or boyfriend or whatever, hired somebody to go break her knee. Goodness great. I'm so glad I didn't get to. I was one when that happened, so I don't really have any recollection of that. I'm sure I could ask my parents and they would tell me. But yeah, but her story was heart wrenching and heartbreaking enough because she had 6 miscarriages after her first child. That's a lot. Like, and I'm not laughing, but like, that's a lot, and I couldn't imagine going through that even once. Like, I couldn't imagine being in a with a woman and she have a miscarriage with our child. I couldn't imagine that as the father of that kid. I could only imagine like I can't even imagine like what it would be to be the father. So to be the mother who and all that stuff happens in your body and it happens in your body that the miscarriage happens. It's just like I it's got to be like the worst feeling ever. And she said it was like awful feeling. She felt like a failure, like she couldn't, do this thing that she so wanted to do. But they ended up having 2 other kids. Thankfully for science and technology and all that to help them out. But yeah, I thought the dance was good. I thought it was really, really good. Their foxtrot was great, very elegant, very smooth, very. She's just such a great dancer. She's picking up steps really great. Her technique is really good. Um, she's gotten to the point where I feel like she's really kind of let go of her nerves, and you can see the confidence and the joy and all that spewing from her and from Artem, and it's so nice to see. And I really love this couple. I love this partnership, and they're my third favorite couple of the season. Kind of took me by surprise. I'm really enjoying Artem. I'm really liking the fact that he's very subdued and letting her be the center of attention. I really enjoy that. And yeah, I just thought it was a great dance. I love that it was uplifting. I thought that it was a great dance. I would have liked for it to be a little bit higher, probably like a 34, 35, but we'll deal with the 33 for now. Up next was Mr. T and Kim, and they had a waltz and they got a 28. I'm glad that this was the dance they went out on. As I said last week, I was hoping that he got a Viennese waltz this week. He didn't get a Viennese waltz, but he got a waltz, which I think was probably better for him because the slow waltz is slower than the Viennese waltz, and I think that was much better for him to kind of just be able to go through it at his own speed and really just like tell his story, which was 1995, and that was the year that when he had cancer, yeah, and he was either diagnosed with cancer or he got through. I think he was diagnosed with cancer and then he went into remission in the same year. I believe. Do not quote me on that. But yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoy watching Mr. T dance. I'm sad that he's left. But do I think it was time? No. I would have preferred for him to stay over Nick and Erica, but I understand. I do not like how you all are trying to say he needed to dance to Zippity Doo Dah from Song of the South during Disney Week. Mm, like, okay, no. So many issues there. Number one, the only reason why people are saying that is because he's an old black man, and Uncle Remus, was that his name? Was an old black man who was a slave. But like they made it seem like slavery was like, and I feel like it was like the tail end of slavery, but they're making it seem like he was just so happy to be a slave, and like there was nothing wrong in his life, and he was just excited to go work out in the fields all day, and you know, I don't care for that. I don't like that. Um, I wish you all would stop it. I wish you all would think about things. Just because somebody is a black person and they look like this, you gotta actually think about the movie. Because yes, Zippity Doo Dah is a great song, but there's a reason why Disney has chosen to try their best, their very, very best, to separate that song and that movie. Because there's nothing wrong with the song. You could just take the song and, you know, have it play. That movie, there's issues with it. It's why they've locked it away. It's why they don't like to have things for it. And they even have it in like amusement parks and stuff, but it's like why they try and distance themselves from that movie, because it's just bad in the way that they depict black people as, oh my gosh, we just love being in captivity and so much and all that. I'm sorry this wasn't about race, but I had to throw that out there because that really rubbed me the wrong way. And you all need to think and not be so tone deaf when you're really thinking about things with race. Like, you need to actually look at everything and not just pick out one thing because it's like, oh, match. No, you got to look at like the context of it, especially when you're talking about people of color, minority groups, and people who are oppressed in a society, because a lot of times those connections or whatever, there's a lot more that is surrounding it than what you just see. There's a lot more behind it. So, kind of a rant, off topic. But yeah, they got a 28. Sad to see them go, but glad that they went out on that. It was his best dance. His range of motion was much improved from last week. He actually did use the floor a lot more. So, yeah. Up next was Heather and Alan. They had a cha cha. She got a 35. Not super impressed. I'm impressed with Alan and the way he's partnering her, and I do think he deserves a pro spot next season, just based on what he's been doing this season and how he's been getting Heather through the weeks. And Max has been absent. I do wonder what's going to happen if, let's say she does win, and she's not going to, but let's say she does win, who gets the Mirrorball trophy? Like, I know she does, but does Ellen get it, or does Max get it? Because honestly, from weeks, he's going to be with her weeks 2, 3, 4, probably next week, and probably week 6. So for 5 weeks of the competition. To be honest, if she were to win, which I don't think she will, he needs that mirror ball too. Like, they need to make an exception and do 3 mirror balls. Again, not going to happen, but if for some reason it does, they need to do that. But yeah, it's Cha Cha. She's a professional dancer. What do you expect? She's a good dancer. She's going to give you good dances. I'm not shocked by anything she does. You know, it's just another good dance. I would love to see her give me something amazing, but it's not going to happen with the current pro that she has. Also, I thought that the kind of running up the stairs and stuff, it was a very Max choreography thing. So I know he did have a part in this choreography, but yeah. Oh, and her year was 2015 when she got married and had a kid. Up next was David and Lindsay. They had a Mimi's Waltz, and they got a 31. I actually like this dance, just from a performance standpoint. From technique, he was very bouncy, and he was not smooth at all. He was kind of like like he was just like, I don't know. He was like, it wasn't stompy, but he was like almost like tripping over his feet and like trying to catch. It was very weird what was going on with his feet. He was like shuffling. It was very weird, but it wasn't good Viennese waltz technique. Um, and his posture, his butt was sticking so far out. Um, I think Lindsay for sure needs to work on his posture. I think him getting his butt tucked in, I think will help his footwork not be so messy. Um, I think it'll kind of help him, do the dance better as far as his feet go. Um, but yeah, I liked it. Um, I do see that the judges are going to start getting tougher on his technique, which needs to happen. But I still enjoy him. I still think that Lindsay's doing a great job with him, and I'm just excited to see this couple. Um, I really love them. They're in my top four for sure. Couples of this season. Up next was because I was six. Yes. Up next was Rashad and Emma, and they had a contemporary. They got a 39. David's year was 2016, the year that the Cubs won. Cubs, right? The World Series. Yeah. Rashad was next. His year was 2006, I believe. And it was the year that his father um, got his leg amputated because he had a stroke and then he had diabetes, and it was really bad diabetes to the point that he had to get a limb cut off in order to save his life. And that story was sad, and I was already kind of not down, but I was already kind of a bit emotional from Nancy's story, but wasn't like crazy emotional, just like, wow, this is really sad. Like, and I wasn't crying at that point. I get to this dance, and I'm watching the package, and a tear falls, but I'm able to hold it together. But it was a really, really, really good piece, a really good contemporary piece. I do not care for contemporary. If you've watched me for a while, if you read my blogs, you know that I don't care for contemporary. So me saying that I like the contemporary dance and that it was like one of my favorite contemporary dances done on this show, it says a lot. It says that the pro did what they needed to do and that the dancer was dancing it amazingly. I would have loved for it to be a perfect 40, but of course Lynn gave it a 9. Makes sense. It's contemporary. Lynn's not going to be as willing to give it a 10 as he is going to give a ballroom or a Latin dance a 10. But 39 out of 40, amazing. I loved it. It was the best dance of the night for sure. It wasn't my favorite dance. It was my second favorite dance, but it was definitely the best dance of the night. Up next was Erica and Gleb. They had a Cha-Cha to Express Yourself by Madonna. And her year was 1980. Not really sure what her year was about. I guess when she decided she was going to move to Los Angeles and pursue a career in whatever her career started out as. Singing. Yeah, she was always a singer. And yeah, I guess that was her year. There's always that one couple that they don't really have like a year. It's kind of more of a general thing, and they just kind of throw out a random like general year that all this stuff happens, and she just happened to be that celeb this season. I'm gonna say it was my favorite dance of theirs so far. I'll say that. Upon looking at it further, my opinions of it have changed. Okay, yeah. My opinions of it have changed. Not that much. I do think technically it showed that she has a lot of potential. When she hit the things right, she really hit them. I will will say it looked very, it's just the sexiness of it or whatever. Sexy is fine. You can do that. But you don't have to go all out sex kitten and all that stuff for every single dance that Gleb is doing. Like, I understand that's part of her personality, and I understand, like, that's who Erika Jayne is. There's ways to go about that and not lose yourself and still be able to show different sides of yourself. You can be more flirty. You could be more elegant. You could be more regal. And you could get down and dirty. You can show all those sides and still be true to Erika Jayne and still kind of have that, sexy undertone of being this woman who is in control of just her sexuality, and I applaud her for that. Like, I love that she does that. I just think that Gleb has done her a disservice by not trying to find ways to show it off in different ways rather than kind of the same mold every single time. Again, I'm not saying that to be like policing her or whatever. I'm not trying to police her. I'm saying this to Gleb as a choreographer, that he needs to present her in ways that are different each week, and he hasn't been doing that, and he's done a disservice to her. And I said the same thing about Jana last season. He did a disservice to her by really kind of staying on this sexy angle that they were doing for a lot of the season, and it really made Jana hard for me to enjoy, because it was like the same thing every single week, and when it wasn't the same, it was so clearly awkward because they hadn't done anything, they just weren't used to it. So yeah, that's it. I do think she's in danger of going home next week. She got a 30 this week. I do think she's in danger of going home. I do want him to push her into choreography the way that he did this week. I do think he did a good job by pushing her more in choreography. He needs to go further. And with Disney Week, he needs to just show us a side of her that we haven't seen before, while still keeping it very much Erika. I feel like they might give her a villain to do, because she just feels like, not like saying she's mean or evil, but it does feel like she kind of gives off like a Maleficent kind of vibe. If she does get something like Maleficent, I think that would be great for her. I think it would be great to see her kind of in a menacing role, but still be completely Erika. And I think that would be the thing that he needs to do. Again, another tangent, but I just had to say it and throw it out there. Not policing anyone, just want to say that. But there's some work that needs to be done. Simone and Sasha were next with a Viennese waltz. This was where I lost it last night. I was in tears during this whole package because I had seen the package earlier in the day. I thought it was good, I saw the whole package. I was like, I'm good. But then I didn't see the part with her dad speaking. And then when he said, I wasn't going to let her steal my heart, because her year was 2000, when she was adopted by her grandfather, who is now her father, and her grandmother, who is now her mother, because her biological mother was kind of in and out of prison and was addicted to drugs and an alcoholic and all that stuff. So her year was 2000. Yeah, her year was 2000 when she was put into foster care. I think she was adopted in 2003. He said he wasn't going to let her steal his heart. She did. And I kind of started to lose it there, and I just kind of started to cry because I saw his emotion, and I kind of started to cry. And then we got to the dance, and then I look on the stage and see her sitting, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, so let's see how this is gonna go. And then she stands up and walks over to Sasha, and I see she's bawling, and I'm like, oh no. And so I'm the tears start flowing with me, and I'm watching her dance, and I'm crying. she's crying, and I'm just like watching this beautiful dance, and then it ends, and she runs over to her parents, and then like I just lost it at that point. It was my favorite dance of the night for that reason. It was just um, a moment that we don't see all the time on this show, and it's moments like those that even though I do get extremely frustrated watching this show, and I do hate it a lot of the time, it's moments like those that keep me coming back to the show because it's those genuine moments where you see all that emotion and you see somebody, I don't, you just see that growth and that breakthrough of that person, whatever they're going through, they're able to express themselves and be able to free themselves of this burden or whatever they had, and be able to tell a story that they've never been able to tell, or say things to somebody and they didn't know how to say it in words, but they did it through dance. And that's what I love about this show. When moments like that happen, it's what keeps me coming back to the show. um, and I just loved it. I thought the dance was amazing. I would have loved if they had given them like at least 2 10s. But still her best dance. They got a 36. I mean, you can't really argue with that. Second on the leaderboard. I just would have loved them to get at least 110 for it. And finally was Bonner and Sharna. They had a foxtrot and they got a 32. Um, I thought this dance was slightly overscored. His year was 2016 when he had the bull riding accident and he was paralyzed from the neck down, and everyone thought he was going to die because those injuries happen a lot of times in that sport, and it doesn't end in the way that it ended for Bonner, which is a miracle, that he's able to even do this show a year later. Um, it is a miracle that he can do this show a year later and be able to actually move a lot and dance, because I know he still doesn't have all of his mobility back. Um, and it's so fresh that I'm sure, and I think Sharna said this in her blog, or somewhere, I don't know, but he is dealing with a lot in terms of that and emotionally. Um, which is to be expected. He almost died. If he didn't almost die, he was almost paralyzed for life. Um, I do. The story was heart wrenching. It was sad, and I was, I was already in the mood from Simone's dance, so I was like ready. I was like, okay, I'm gonna cry some more. Like, let me go get myself prepared. And then they started, and it was a foxtrot, and I was like, well, it's a weird dance to have for this type of story, but okay. And then the song was feeling good. I was like, okay. And it was a weird dance style and a weird song choice with the story. It just really didn't make sense, um, which I think took away from some of the impact that the dance could have had. Um, it wasn't a bad dance, but it wasn't the greatest dance either. It was his best dance to date, but again, he needs to work on fluidity and his footwork, and he can be a little stompy sometimes. But yeah, I'm not sure much longer he'll be. I think he'll last for 2 more weeks at the at least. But I do think he and Heather are probably going to be going around the same time, or within a week of each other. But yeah, that was that dance. And so yeah, at the end of the night, we had Mr. T and Erica in Jeopardy, and Mr. T was eliminated. I already said how I felt about that. I'm sad about it. But I knew it was coming, so I wasn't shocked. Up next week is Disney Week. Excited about that. Hopefully, we get some good song choices and movies, and I hope it's different from what we're used to seeing, because they've started recycling. And I've already kind of peeked at some of the songs and stuff. I know they're using the new Beauty and the Beast. I've seen that Normani and Val have Mulan, I'll Make a Man Out of You. So yeah, that's good. Um, yeah, let me know how you felt about the night, and I will see you all soon.